Let's talk about first episodes, why they're so important, and what we can do to make sure we're starting our stories right. Hi, my name is Steve Conley. I'm a web cartoonist and have been for a very, very long time. My latest webcomic, The Middle Age, recently turned 5 years old, and it got me thinking about the start of the series and maybe some of the things I was doing right, some of the things I was doing wrong. But one of the things I would put into the I did it right category would be the first episode. Now, this is primarily for those of us telling long-form serialized stories, the kind of thing you see all over webtoons right now. If you've got a gag comic, a short-form joke comic, that's a whole other thing. I don't think you need to have read the first episode of Sarah Scribbles or How to Cat or Garfield in order to enjoy the later episodes. But for those of us telling long-form stories where most people start at the beginning, that first episode is super important, has a lot of heavy lifting to do. It is often the only chance that we have to get the reader's attention. If they get to the end of the episode, and I hope they get to the end of the episode, the reader gets to decide then and there whether they want to hit the back button or continue on and read more of your story. So you only have that shot to get them to move forward. And you can kind of think of every page as your last chance to hold on to the reader, but the first episode is the most important. Even many years into your webcomic, the first episode, episode 1, is going to be the one most people read. Along the way, you produce new episodes, and as I mentioned in the promotion video, or both of the promotion videos, the new episode you create is really important. And a lot of people will see your latest episode, but your latest episode keeps changing. But the first episode will always be the first episode, and that's the one when you go to Webtoons, you see that first episode button, that's what people click. The first episode sets the tone of the story. Is it funny? Is it scary? What's it drawn like? Who are the characters? They're the introduction to the world, and readers love, and speaking as a reader, I love getting oriented into the world that's being presented to me. How does the magic work? Where does it take place? When does it take place? Who are the characters, and do I care about them? Those things need to be at least teased very quickly in order to get the reader interested. Some webcomics can start slow. They can have a slow burn. I think that's an influence from film where people go into a theater, they've paid $10, they're sitting there, and you can just kind of give them a nice slow introduction. They've already paid their admission, they're stuck. Webcomics are different. Web content is different. There's an infinite number of things to look at. They don't have to spend time with the thing that's not impressing them. So we only have this one shot, in most cases, to impress people. The reality is, if people don't enjoy the first episode, they're unlikely to read a second one. So what should a first episode do? Now, most of us are already deep into our story, and so it doesn't really apply, and I don't recommend going back and editing a first episode. That way lies madness. But we'll talk a little bit about what we can do in a little bit. But if you haven't created your first episode yet, here's what I think an ideal first episode accomplishes. It should surprise the reader. Show them something they haven't seen before. It has to deliver on the genre. A genre is sort of a set of expectations. So when a person clicks on comedy, if your first episode isn't funny, that you haven't satisfied what they were in the mood for. And so they can back out based on that. But the most important thing I think you can do with your first episode is tease the reader. Make them wonder, what is this world? Who are these characters? Where is this going? Really, in order to do that, you have to kind of get them a little bit and grab them and make the reader want to find out more. It should tease the story. It should say, oh, there's more coming. There's something else around the corner. Don't go away. You don't want to miss what happens next. And the best and easiest way to tease a story and tease the reader to read more is to ask questions. Have the characters say, where did this body come from? What happened to my keys? Whatever the mystery is, if you have a bit of mystery, if you have people ask questions, readers will stay to find the answer to those questions. Whenever you get the opportunity to turn a statement into a question, it automatically has more stickiness, has a bit more of a gravitic pull and kind of hold on to the reader a little bit longer. Now, the first episode of my webcomic, The Middle Age, uses all these elements in it, and I think is one of the reasons why the comic has lasted 5 years and has gotten close to 15,000 subscribers on Webtoons, is that the first episode really does grab people. It raises questions. It teases the reader. It surprises the reader. I've gone into depth over on Patreon, on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Steve Conley, where I go panel by panel through my first episode and kind of talk about how it satisfies these requirements and why I think it works 5 years later. So what do we do if our first episode isn't a grabber? We're 100 episodes in, it's not doing the things we want it to do, it's not really getting people or converting them to subscribers or Patreon supporters. What can we do? We can edit our first episode. Now, like I've said before, please don't go back and redraw your episodes, because you'll be doing that forever. You're always going to be a better artist today than you were 6 months ago. It becomes this loop where you're always wanting to redraw the thing you did before. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people, probably a lot of people watching this right now, have drawn their webcomic, but they haven't uploaded it because they're just not happy with it yet. And they will never be happy with it. But the best thing about webcomics is we get to publish faster than we can hate our work. If there's 2 lessons from this web channel, it's always produce another episode, and webcomics are great because we can post faster than we can hate our own work. I can't tell you how many times I've published work and immediately seen all the flaws with it. There's nothing like seeing it on the social media feed to go, ooh, that was a bad hand, or that, ooh, I draw the eyes are way too close together, or something like that. We have to live with that. We have to be cool with that our mistakes will live probably forever, but that's okay, because they are the stepping stones to the next great thing we do. But getting back to the first episode and why it's so important, and why please don't let these notes paralyze you, because it's okay to be weird, it's okay to be awkward, and it's more important to be done than perfect. So if you're not happy with the episode you posted 6 months ago or a year ago, and it's not getting you the readers you want, you feel like it's not grabbing people the way you'd like it to, episode 1 has a lot of views but episode 2 doesn't, you've had 100,000 views but 50 likes, like it's not working, double check the genre it's in to make sure that it's in the right genre. You might have put in the wrong genre, or maybe you thought it was going to go, it might be a better fit someplace else, because again, genre expectation is a big reason why people will like or not like a comic. But what you can do is add a note. You can add some context. If you're going to edit any episode of your webcomic, you can edit the first one. If you're looking for dispensation from the webcomics gods, I'm certain they will say, it's fine, tweak the first episode if you must. Add a preamble, add a little bit of introductory text that maybe is a little more interesting. Maybe ask some questions at the end. Keep your webcomic, as it was when you first launched it, but maybe say, will these characters meet? Will this murder get solved? Will this character find their car keys? Whatever the question is, those questions help keep the reader hooked. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. If you end up tweaking the first episode of your webcomic, or if you just want to share a link to the first episode of your webcomic in the comments below, I would love to see what you've done. If you want to check out my webcomic, it's over on GoComics and Webtoons and my own website at middleagecomic.com. And if you want to check out that video over on Patreon, where I go step by step, panel by panel through my first episode and why I think it's helped me last 5 years, again, that's over on Patreon at patreon.com/Steve Conley. No matter where you are in the world, I hope you're safe, I hope you're well, and I will see you online.